Hey, it's Jess. How to discuss politics without wanting to kill someone. Here's the last part of the project, what you need to be careful about. Yes, there is an entire portion dedicated to religion at the end. The three parts are evidence, presentation, and religion this time. Evidence. First, we're going to go over how to make sure your evidence is credible to your audience and how you can double-check the findings of a piece of evidence while avoiding angering your audience. Whatever evidence you're using, it must be credible to your audience. This means using what is credible to them. Your experiences will count in most cases, especially if you've been impacted by the issue personally. You do need to be aware that people are less likely to trust your experiences if they do not trust you. Remember, your source may be debunked later or have a bad reputation. These will affect your credibility, especially if the source you're citing was problematic for whatever reason. Feel free to check a source's credibility, but preface that you want to check the study or experiment to make sure there weren't any equipment hiccups or that the method they used isn't sketchy. You do not want to come off in any way that you are questioning the other person's credibility. Remember, your source may be debunked later or have a bad reputation. These will affect your credibility, especially if the study you're citing was problematic for whatever reason. Feel free to check your source's credibility, but preface that you want to check the study or experiment. You do not want to come up in any way that you are questioning the other person's credibility. This is often seen as an attack, and we want to avoid attacking others in this method. Due to that, it's better to ask if it's okay with the other to check the source's credibility. You will need to be crystal clear that you are questioning the study, experiment, or source the person is citing, not the person themselves. A better way to check a source's findings is to see what else has the same findings. If there are other sources with similar findings that don't lead to the same source. If it's from one place, admit that you're not certain about it because it feels like there's enough scientific evidence. However, you should not discourage or discount personal experiences. If you want to re-examine personal experience, ask if they're comfortable with that. If they're not, drop it. These can be big deals for people, and sometimes what you're asking about can bring up horrible experiences that they have to relive to explain. Remember, it's their choice to examine their own experiences, and they get the right to say what they aren't up for. If they're not up for going over the specifics and examining their experience, then drop it. That's their experience, and you do not know any personal costs that come with going over it. Remember, we are not here to hurt anyone. If it looks like doing something would hurt them, and the details are not directly related to the policy or policy position, steer clear of it while using this method. Presentation. This is how you present yourself and your ideas. There are a few things you need to do in how you approach the conversation, which you can thank Burke's rhetorical theory and nonviolent communication for this part being so long. First, where are you coming from when you're talking? This relates to the shared goals. If the end goal is learning or understanding, come from curiosity. This means dropping your ego and any concept of knowing what's what with the other person, or the idea that you know the entire situation. If the goal is cooperating somehow, go back to your childhood self when you cared unconditionally and wanted everyone to get along. Lean into the mindset of, I care about this person even though you just met them, and that big desire to help people however you can. If your goal is policy-centric, what policies to use, what would work, what wouldn't work, or what should be done, then you need to come from your inner problem solver. Be creative with solutions and address problems as they arise, especially if it involves the feasibility of what you would think should be done or how effective it would be. If it won't work at all without something else that will take time, look at other ways to hit the root of the problem or prevent the problem from happening. A problem-solving mentality needs both understanding of the issue as a whole and comes from wanting to help. So you need to be listening to everyone else and have them confirm their concerns between their words and address these concerns with solutions that are feasible if done together. With policy, the end goal that you're not stating is that you want to help as many as you can, and to do that, you need to drop the idea that you know everything or that you're the only one that knows what they're talking about. If you don't, the conversation will be derailed easily with arguing over who is right and who is wrong. You don't want that. Number 2, how to talk. You don't just need to match their words, but their values if you want them to better understand your position. See how your position does fit in their worldview. You do not want to threaten their sense of self or identity, and you do need to remember that you are not here to change their entire worldview or uproot who they are or anything of that sort. You are here having a conversation because you want to understand, because you want to work together to get something done, and you want to help people. That's the essence of politics in a nutshell, trying to help people with policy. You are not going to change worldviews in a conversation or two, but you can open them to other stances and hybrid policies to better fix the situation and meet your shared goals. 3. Red flags raised. These can and will discredit you to your listener's subconscious. We want to avoid that for obvious reasons. It's hard to talk to someone if you don't trust their words and motives. If you're using words they don't understand, or you don't understand, or you have different understandings of, drop the word. The word may have many meanings to your audience that boil down to, this is a bad thing and everything connected to it is bad, for a number of reasons. Focus on the meaning of the word to you and how it translates into your reasoning without using the word. I'm going to use socialism as my example. Socialism and communism mean monster, traitor, and dictator for people raised in the Cold War in the US. While you can tell someone their definition, their subconscious mind will still scream the word danger, bad, avoid. This can still wreck collaboration, as now this person is fighting their brain and trying to keep up with you, dividing their attention. Make things easier for yourself in this case and say why these ideologies matter and how they are used in the listener's day-to-day. If you're talking about healthcare and believe in socialism, instead of saying, I'm a socialist, so of course I believe in affordable healthcare for all, explain using the concept and meaning to you. I just believe no one should be punished for needing help. I believe we are a community and as a country, and no one should be punished for needing professional help or medicine. We should take care of each other because that's what we do as a community. But we shouldn't have to tell everyone our medical information to get help either. That's private information that should not be made public to get help, like with crowdfunding for medication and treatments on GoFundMe. Because of this, I believe we need affordable plans for everyone and to cap medicine pricing for long-term medications, tools, and treatments, like insulin and cancer treatments, hearing aids, and medication for various mental illnesses. People should not have to face death, debt, or difficulty functioning when we have the means to prevent these, and problems that they face are lifelong. No one should be punished for needing help, and our current healthcare system is punishing people with high costs that force our vulnerable, are sick, are disabled, and are injured into situations that no one should face. How to survive without getting what you need to function. That is why I support affordable healthcare for all and price caps. Human lives need to come before corporate profit. Again, drop the vocabulary and focus on the meaning. It takes longer, but you lower the chances of raising red flags, and it helps you understand each other better. Lastly, for how to conduct yourself, you do not need to agree on everything about the issue. Do not expect them to join your view or adopt your view or go to rallies for your view cheering it on. Sometimes the goal is getting them comfortable with the policy. Like with online voter registration, a lot of politicians, especially older politicians, were concerned about security breaches. But this policy has passed in 38 states, in part because discussions were had to address security concerns, focus on minimizing the risk of hacking, fail-safe procedures to correct misinformation at the polls, and talking about benefits like saving money and increasing voter registration rates. The risk wasn't gone, but it was diminished by addressing these concerns. This made the overall benefits high enough compared to the risk that 38 states now have online voting registration. Religion. This is everyone's least favorite thing to throw into politics. It's complex enough to warrant its own set of rules and guidelines. First, never get bogged down in the details of religion. Don't bring up, but religion isn't real arguments, or how a story is historically inaccurate or anything like that. And never drop kick it out of a conversation as a whole. This is something that informs someone's worldview and morals. This is their language and their perspective. I invoke be open and drop your ego. And there is more than one way to meet the goal here. This is someone explaining their reasons to you or you explaining your reasons to them. If it informs their morals, their worldview, and their politics, you need to listen. This can help you understand them and their reasoning, which is necessary if you want to work with them to make a workable policy. The thing is, drop the details, let's talk about morals. A big part of your religion might be helping those in need. Talk about that as an aspect of your religion. Do not say the scripture and the numbers. Those mean nothing to people who are unfamiliar with them. Say the verse or summarize the story if you need to. Always explain why this part of your religion is important by giving your understanding of it and how your understanding informs the actions you want to take. Next, I want to remind you that religion as a topic is a red flag for many people as it has been used by others to hurt or justify hurting groups. This is a common experience for many groups, with Christianity specifically in the United States being used to justify slavery in the past and the abuse of the LGBTQ community. This is why I say you need to be careful and explain. Being religious may be a red flag, or maybe it's another word tied to religion or your religion specifically. This all happens subconsciously, but the red flags raised do discredit you and raise barriers into the conversation. That's why you do need to be careful and why I suggest being careful when bringing it up. Here are ways to better put your religion when you find it necessary. Hey, I know a lot of people think I need to keep my religion out of this, but this is a big part of why I support this or why I cannot support this. I want to explain that, and I don't know where everyone's head is at with this. Feel free to state the term that you want to use for your religion, but explain what it means to you. Sometimes you might not want to say what your religion is exactly for whatever reason, but how this ties into the point you are trying to make. If your religion puts an emphasis on taking care of your community and you're not sure if all parts of your community are being taken into account, this is one way to phrase it. A big part of my religion is taking care of everyone in the community, and I mean everyone. That means each person in each smaller community and larger community I am a part of. It means I want them to be safe and have their basic needs met and for them to be happy. I don't want anyone to face hardships because of things they don't control, like how they are born, an accident, weather, or even the economy. I want everyone to have the means to flourish, and I think we need to keep these groups in mind while we work on this. How this affects each group and their ability to flourish and give back to communities that helped them when they needed it. I want everyone to have the means to thrive, so we need members of these communities present to address challenges each community faces and how our policy will impact these changes. There are a few phrases involving religion I want to hit directly. Phrases like, "For the love of God," "Dear God," "My God," "Oh my God," and a few others have become relatively removed from religion and a part of everyday speak, whether or not you're religious or ascribed to religion. They become ways to describe a situation or emotion, but we don't think of them as being caused by God, which divorces them enough from a lot of religious meanings that they are no longer red flags. This is not the case for most phrases using God. By God means because of God, and with a lot of people having religion as a red flag, it's best to avoid something is because of God or God's will when you're talking about politics. Please do not say anything like, "Anything is possible with God." This is a direct opening for someone changing the conversation to, "Oh really, I must prove you wrong," or changing the topic to God's existence, or anything else that may derail the focus of the discussion you are having. Focus on the issue that everyone in the conversation agreed to at the beginning was important and what they are here to discuss. If you're saying you're God, goddess, supreme being, whoever, or that your religion itself is the ultimate authority, especially in discussions about politics, a lot of people you're talking to are going to have a red flag raised. Your religion is not the focus, nor do they necessarily share your belief that your God and your religion is the ultimate authority. Politics is humans handling human problems. The issue agreed on in the beginning of the conversation is the focus, and only people are the authority in these. Avoid comments like, "This country only exists because of God," "God is testing us," or "God will provide," unless the person you're speaking with shares these views with you, and you already know this because they told you so. This is the biggest religious red flag you can raise. Saying in any way that your religion or supreme being is an ultimate authority or has more authority in politics than humans. Evidence summarized. You and your evidence must be credible to your audience. Personal experiences do count, but they do not undo others' experiences. Remember that you examine the evidence, and to emphasize that you're examining the evidence, not the person. An easy way to get around that is to find what corroborates the evidence's claims. Presentation. Where are you coming from? What are your intentions and attitude? Learning needs curiosity. Cooperation or collaboration need you to care about the other person. Policymaking needs you to have curiosity, care, creativity, and problem solving. Speak using their words and values. Fit your stance into their worldview. Avoid raising red flags. These damage credibility. Just talk around them. Remember, You don't need to agree about everything at the end. Aim for being more comfortable than before with your policies, but don't expect it to always work. People come to their own conclusions. Religion. Remember, religion can be a red flag, so only bring it up if you feel it is necessary. Focus on the morals informing your worldview and how this connects to the policies you do and do not support. Always explain explicitly your interpretation when you bring up religion. Never say phrases like, by God and the like. It's a red flag as it implies to most that human beings had nothing to do with whatever is happening and that all the credit for what just occurred goes to God. Thanks for staying for the whole video. I know it was a lot and I hope these help you out. If you enjoyed, check out the rest of the series, How to Talk About Politics Without Wanting to Kill Someone. Bye!